The Men of Color 2025 Uhuru Quilters Guild Challenge. The Men of Color quilts are a tribute to men in the members' families and those that we admired throughout history, entertainment, science, ministry, and more. The Men of Color quilts are created using a variety of quilting styles and techniques, including traditional piecing, improvisational piecing, wonky piecing, free piecing methods, patchwork, applique, fabric manipulation, small amounts of paint, ink, or pencils, and or machine embroidery. We hope you enjoy this display as much as we enjoyed creating the quilts, and that you enjoy hearing the artist's stories behind each quilt. Our first quilt honors Master Gunnery Sergeant Carol W. Braxton, a Montfort Point Marine, and was quilted by Dr. Renee Anderson. We were honored to have Master Gunnery Sergeant Braxton photographed here with the quilter Dr. Renee Anderson at our exhibit at the Original Sewing and Quilting Expo in 2025 in Fredericksburg, Virginia. This quilt honors Master Gunnery Sergeant Carol W. Braxton, a Montfort Point Marine, a centenarian, strong man of faith, a humble role model, a man of purpose, a man of joy, World War II and Korean War survivor, Congressional Gold Medal recipient, incredible father, and was a dedicated husband. I am proud to be a benefactor of his wisdom, strength, love, and guidance. A 1941 executive order by Franklin Delano Roosevelt led a desegregation of the military. Montfort Point Marines were the first African American Marines to enlist in the U.S. Marine Corps and faced racism and discrimination. Our next quilt is also by Dr. Renee Anderson, and it's called What's Sticking to You? Bits and pieces of those you are around break off and stick to you. This quilt illustrates the impact of family patriarch William Thomas Newman, 9/11/1913 to 3/14/2004. By identifying the sons, adopted sons, grandsons, nephews, cousins, sons in laws, and claimed sons impacted by his life and legacy, the ongoing effect is illustrated. His modeling of how to be an upright Christian man, strong of character and steadfast, family focused, and example for the family and the community continues. Our next quilt, an all-white party in honor of Frankie Beverly, was created by quilter Dr. Nia Costley. Frankie Beverly was known for all-white outfits when performing in concerts with the group Maze. White was symbolic of the beauty of life and unity. Concertgoers would also frequently wear white in tribute to him. This is my all-white party to honor his rich music legacy. Our next quilt, entitled Men of Service, was completed by quilter Dr. Angela Lanier. I have no more brothers, my uncle said at another uncle's funeral. These words inspired this quilt. I reunited my dad and his brothers wearing the uniforms from their respective jobs: maintenance mechanic, deputy, metro worker, soldier, all retired from public service, but their greatest service was to our family. Our next quilt, entitled Man of the Cloth, was completed by quilter Sandra Schmidt. This quilt is titled Man of the Cloth. This quilt was created to honor a man of color, my father, Reverend James Harold Schmidt. He was a son, a brother, a father, a husband, and a reverend. And even though he is no longer with us, he will always be in my heart. I love you, Daddy. Our next quilt, entitled Walk On By, was created by quilter Lawrence Smith. Isaac Hayes was a groundbreaking artist who transformed the sound of soul music. With his rich baritone voice, lush orchestral arrangements, and deep hypnotic grooves, he brought a cinematic quality to R&B that had never been heard before. A visionary songwriter, producer, and performer, Hayes co-wrote many of Stax Records' biggest hits before stepping into the spotlight with his own genre-defining albums like Hot Buttered Soul. His score for Shaft won an Academy Award and helped usher in a new era of black cultural expression in film and music. More than just a musician, Isaac Hayes was a cultural icon, bold, innovative, and unapologetically original. Our next quilt, entitled Sons-in-Law, was completed by quilter Carolyn Burgess. My inspiration for this quilt are my two sons-in-law. I feel so lucky that my daughters have such great providers and they have someone who loves them unconditionally. Both daughters have 25 years with these men and have given me 6 beautiful grandchildren and 2 lovable great-grands. They also respect and care for me. I am grateful, thankful, and blessed. Our next quilt is entitled My Inspiration and was completed by quilter Maxine Morgan. This is my Guild Challenge quilt representing the man of color who has inspired me. Mr. Nelson Mandela withstood many obstacles to reach his goal and rose to become president of his country. Our next quilt is entitled Brother and is by quilter Melba Brown. The story of this quilt. My brother left home after graduating from St. John's College High School in Washington, D.C. He attended the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut, and went on to a fulfilling career in the United States Coast Guard. He dedicated his life to his career, and he achieved the highest rank of any African American officer in the Coast Guard's history. This quilt is to honor him and his achievements. Our next quilt is Will Smith by quilter Felicia Few. Willard Carroll Smith II, born September 25, 1968, is an American actor, rapper, and film producer. Known for his work both on the screen and music industries, his accolades include an Academy Award, a Golden Globe Award, a BAFTA Award, and 4 Grammy Awards. Films in which he has appeared have grossed over $10 billion worldwide, making him one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. I enjoyed watching Will in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and his movies. The song Summertime brings up memories of cookouts at Haynes Point, where we would get there early to get the right spot and have fun with family and friends. The next quilt, also by quilter Felicia Few, is of Luther Vandross. Luther Ranzoni Vandross Jr., April 20th, 1951 to July 1st, 2005, was an American soul and R&B singer, songwriter, and record producer. Over his career, he achieved 11 consecutive RIAA certified platinum albums and sold over 40 million records worldwide. Vandross was recognized by Rolling Stone as one of the 200 greatest singers of all time in 2023 and was named one of the greatest R&B artists by Billboard. NPR also included him among its 50 great voices. I did this silhouette portrait of Luther because of his music that I loved and one particular song that brings me to tears when I hear it, Dance with My Father. I lost my father some 5 years ago, and he loved to dance, and I loved to dance with him. Our next quilt, entitled Black King, is completed by quilter Tammy Morrow. In chess, the king is the most important piece in the game. Although the king is the most important piece, it is usually the weakest piece in the game until the end of the game. When many people think of black men of change, their minds instantly go to Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, and rightly so. But those are not the only black men who have worked to change the world. This piece is dedicated to the countless black men, also known as Black Kings, who are not always thought to be men of impact because they do not directly work to mobilize people or change legislation. Only by disrupting existing negative patterns and replacing them with positive ones can we hope to achieve the anti-racist systems change so desperately needed to balance the scales of justice for ourselves and all black men in America. Our next quilt, entitled Dignity and Culture, was completed by quilter Rose Swain. The I Am a Man poster is an iconic symbol of the civil rights movement during the 1968 Memphis, Tennessee sanitation workers' fight for fair wages, safe working conditions, equality, and demand for basic human dignity and respect against systematic racism and violence that treated black men as less than human in America. The bow tie is a nod to the Underground Railroad quilt bow tie block that symbolizes as a secret signal for escaping slaves to travel in style to avoid suspicion and possible capture during their journey to freedom. The bow tie is a symbol of higher social status, expertise, and knowledge, such as those in higher professions like scholars, architects, scientists, and attorneys. The bow tie is also a symbol of classic formal wear attire, an expression of political and social justice viewpoints, and a way to celebrate the African American culture as a fashion statement. This quilt was designed, quilted, and the bow tie was sewn by Rose Swain. Our next quilt, also completed by quilter Rose Swain, is entitled That's My Daddy, Zach Thomas Swain. As a daddy's girl, I knew for the Men of Color 2025 challenge that I wanted to honor my beloved dad, Zach Thomas Swain, who I love and miss very much, passed away May 23rd, 2024. My dad loved socializing with family and friends at home, parties, and cabarets. He always looked sharp and dapper. One of my most cherished memories is an old Polaroid photograph of him taken before going out to a party with my mom and some of their friends. To the world, he was a son, brother, friend, uncle, husband, father, father-in-law, papa, entrepreneur, farmer, gardener, fisherman, and a die-hard Redskins fan who loved Ford trucks. But to me, all I can say is that's my daddy, Zach Thomas Swain, and he loved me very much. Love you, Daddy. Rest in peace. Our next quilt, completed by quilter Nadine Mills, is entitled Memories of My Grandfather. In memory of my grandfather, Fred A. Harris. After my mother passed, I came across this article featuring my grandfather in the local Safeway store's newsletter. It was called Check Out Chatter, dated October 1962. He was well known in the Washington, D.C. area. In my research, I came across another article of a photo that he had taken of Mary McLeod Bethune and Mary Church Terrell shaking hands. I was so excited. I also have several of his cameras. Our next quilt, by quilter Deborah Murphy, is entitled Prince. Most people know Prince as a singer, musician, producer, composer, and dancer. I love his music, but I admire him as a humanitarian and the fact that he was private about his charitable donations. This is my way of contributing to his legacy. Our next quilt, entitled Dad, was contributed by quilter Betty Phillips. William Anthony Campbell, my dad, was an honorable church-going family man, sibling, and friend who deserves to be recognized for the principled and fun-loving life he lived. Our next quilt is entitled Hats, Boots, and Dreams and was completed by quilter Catherine Stewart Wilson. Hats, Boots, and Dreams is a quilt dedicated to my brothers, who are twins. When they were young, they loved to play and wanted to be cowboys. When they grew up, becoming cowboys didn't happen. Play is play. But we all know and cannot dispute the importance of dreams. Dream on. Papa, a man of faith and strength, was completed by quilter Janie Gibson Farrell. My father, James Gibson, was a black man of honor, a great father of 10, husband, grandfather, and devoted Christian. We called him Papa. This work was inspired by a photo taken at Atlantic Beach, South Carolina. He was wearing a plaid print shirt. He wore a lot of plaid shirts. Our next quilt, William P. Murphy, Montford Point Marine, was completed by quilter Deborah Murphy. My story is centered around the Camp Montford Marines, the all-black unit that was allowed to serve in the military during World War II. These men made sacrifices to serve and help keep America free, yet they were not afforded the same freedom due to prejudice. I'm proud to say that my father was a Montford Marine. The quilt Button Up, Button Down was completed by quilter Winifred B. Wallace. This quilt is a tribute to my husband who died in 2006. More than three-quarters of my husband's world of work was before Casual Friday. A suit and tie were the norm rather than the expectation in the business office. My jumping off point in designing this quilt was his saved buttons and tuxedo shirt. The buttons are mounted on suit fabric and shirting swatches donated by a tailor who was going out of business. These books were given to quilters that volunteered to participate in an art quilt challenge called Parasuits and exhibited at Artistic Artifacts. Our next quilt is entitled Boardroom and was completed by quilter Jennifer Morris. Many of the men in my family have been career men in the armed forces, Air Force, Army, Marines, and Navy. Since my childhood, I've noticed that their personalities would really change when they were out of uniform. My dad looked forward to any opportunity to put on a regular suit. I've seen him dress for work in minutes, but then an hour in the mirror to check out his Sunday's best acclaim. This piece is a reminder of Dad's love of wearing a suit. Our next quote is entitled Grandpa Memories by Cynthia Weish. When I think of a man of color that was inspirational to me, I think of my grandfather. He was my number one fan and showed me so much in life. He was so versatile and loved music. He inspired me to so many genres of music. He was an avid book reader and collector of African American literature. He was a man of God, dedicated and so loving. He's my hero for life. Quilter Deborah Stafford completed the quilt entitled Acknowledging the Past. The hard work and time Michael Cherry spent that resulted in a plaque displayed in front of the courthouse in Jackson, Tennessee, for all to learn about the colored troops of Madison County, Tennessee, inspired me to honor them. This display plaque is a great accomplishment.